Hello everybody and welcome to another YouTube of Gutzler Man. And today I am home from the hospital. I had my surgery and I'm going to share with you my experience. If I talk a little loud or different than usual, it's because this ear is swollen and it feels like I have cotton balls stuck in it. So I have that sensation going on in this ear. At the same time I make this video, I'm going to be doing a podcast too. So let me start up my podcast and then we'll get going. Hello everybody, thank you for joining me on my podcast video. I'm currently in the process of filming a YouTube video, so I'm going to be doing both of this at the exact same time. I am home from the hospital and I'm going to share with you my experience through all of this. So without further ado, let's get going with this. So we're going to rewind time and we're going to go back probably about 2 or 3 years. Well, I would say the last 5 years. The last 5 years I've been noticing some different things going on. Me getting abnormal headaches. Sometimes it would be at the front here that I used to just pass off as being maybe allergies or something, but they would be almost like what we consider like a foggy headache. And I would get them at just different times. There wouldn't be anything springtime, fall, whatever. It would just be throughout the whole year at different times. I would get the headaches when I would get stressed. I saw a psychiatrist that prompted me in probably thinking that maybe it was my stress that was giving me the headaches, back pain. We're going to fast forward a little bit. I get the idea to get an MRI done where they take a inside picture of my brain, because reading articles and talking to individuals that had MRIs in the past say that one of the symptoms is forgetting things, just random things, having random headaches. So I wanted to see if maybe I had a light stroke or something in the past. So, trying to not drag this on too long, after multiple attempts with my family doctor and multiple attempts with insurance companies, we're going to fast forward again a few years. It finally gets approved for me to get an MRI. So I go in and I get an MRI done, and the doctor comes back and says, well, we have some good news and some other news. And I'm like, okay. The good news is your brain patterns, I don't know if you know it, but a little tidbit is that if you've had a stroke, even a light stroke, getting an MRI will show your brain as being like white colored. It comes out on the MRI as gray as a healthy brain, but the areas that are white are, stroke areas. Well, he said I had no areas that were white. My brain was completely healthy, but they discovered a small, it was like maybe the size of a green pea at the time they found it, tumor that was stuck at the edge of my ear canal, between my ear canal and my brain, and it was setting on my hearing vein that lets me hear. So I was also hearing from my wife that whenever I would sit in the passenger seat of the car and she would try to talk to me while she was driving, I would forget conversations that we've had, certain things that she would say. I couldn't hear her very well. But whenever I was the driver and she was the passenger, I would hear almost everything she said. And so it was setting on that vein that controls my hearing, so I was having some hearing loss. And it was leaning up against my facial tissue veins. And whenever I would get sick or real tired, my face would start to droop on the left side. That was another reason why I thought maybe I had a light stroke in the past. Well, it turns out, like I said, never had a stroke. My brain is healthy, but I had a tumor now. So my doctors took it more seriously. My insurance company took it more seriously. and we started making more visits to the doctor, the ENT, uh, the doctor that performs surgeries on brains. Um, I visited him multiple times throughout last year, and we actually set a date for me to get a surgery to get this out. Now, from the way that it looks in the MRI picture, they said that it was probably benign, which means it's not cancerous. It was a tumor, but it was not cancerous. And, fast forward a little bit to the beginning of this year in January, I had set up to get a surgery done. The surgery was postponed. I know I made a video on that saying that I was canceled. My surgery procedure was canceled due to another outbreak of COVID. Well, we set a new date for me to get a surgery, which was uh, April April the 8th, and that was, as of now, that was this past Friday, 6 days ago. This is Thursday, and so I go in and I get the surgery done, and I come out of my anesthesia. The surgery was about 8 hours long, 8 to 8.5 hours long, and it was one of the best surgeries that my ENT doctor and my doctor that does the surgery, the main doctor, um, they both said that it was one of the easiest surgeries getting that out. It hadn't grown very much. It had grown a little bit, so it was a little bit bigger than a green pea by this time, but it wasn't that much, and it was still benign. When they sent it to the lab, it was still non-cancerous, but it was a tumor. And I woke up, started talking to the nurses. One of the things that my wife kids me about is that they put a catheter in. Those of you that know what that is, not very comfortable. But I had one in, and I was still a little bit out of it because I was waking up. And I kept saying, I got to go to the bathroom, and the nurses is like, well, you got a catheter and just go. It's like I couldn't, I didn't realize that at that point what a catheter was. I guess I was still that much out of it. I stayed in the hospital Friday, of course, Saturday, overnight, Saturday night into Sunday, and overnight Sunday night into Monday. And I actually came home Monday evening. And I've been home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Today's Thursday. And all these days I've had to use an ice pack on my head because whenever the pain pills start wearing off, it just starts, ice pack helps. I hadn't had to use an ice pack today. However, I've experienced vertigo a little bit because I tried walking, about 500 feet or so and back. And, so I've been experiencing that today. And those of you on the YouTube can see this nice little scar that I got here. I still have stitches in. I have to go in this coming up Monday morning to get the stitches taken out. But it doesn't feel abnormal. Like it doesn't hurt. Like right before I did this video, my wife actually cleaned it and put more medicine on it. So if you see shiny stuff gunked on it, that's antibiotics that she put on there. And those of you that are in my podcast, you can go to my YouTube channel and take a look of how I look, or I can just describe it. My wife kind of described it as a kind of a Frankenstein look, where his cuts are kind of, stapled or stitched up. The stitching is probably about 3 inches, I would say, long. It goes from my mid-ear all the way up to where my crown on my head starts to become the top of my head. And that's how big of a scar that I have. Other things that I've been experiencing is when the pain medicine wears off, I'll get this, it's almost like a stomach hurt sensation. So I'll have to take more Tylenol. I haven't really taken one of those strong medications yet. It's mainly been Tylenol. But I do want to thank all of the doctors and the nurses involved in all this, and because they were just amazing. the hospital I went to, and my friends and family that's been coming by and visiting. You guys are amazing too. And as a matter of fact, I have a card that I got in the mail today from one of my family members, and I want to use this as the verse because I think it fits it well. It's James 4 verse 8, and unfortunately I can't really play around with these videos at this time, so you may or may not see the writing as I read this next to me, but James 4 verse 8 says, "When you draw close to God with your faith, with your prayers, with your heart, God will draw close to you with His protection, with His guidance, with His love." And I think that that's just beautiful for this type of thing, because I kept praying to Him. You know, that Friday morning real early I had to go in. They put IVs in me. They used, instead of the mask, they put stuff in my IV. And they told me to say goodbye to my wife because they were starting to wheel me out. And I really don't remember saying goodbye to my wife. I think I was halfway out of it by that time. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up in the recovery room in the ICU. That's my story. You can ask other questions down below if you want to. I basically tried to layman terms the explanation through all of this, and I tried to make a longer story short. So there may be some stuff that you're like, you know, I know you talked about this, but can you talk more about it? I will do that. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me. This has been another presentation in the podcast of Gutzler Man and YouTube. And love yourself, love God, and love one another. Bye-bye.